Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, watching the waves gracefully rolling in and out, each one carrying away grains of sand and leaving the shore renewed. This ebb and flow mirrors the deepest truths of our lives. Everything changes, nothing stays the same, and the greatest peace lies in embracing what we cannot control. Welcome to The Art of Letting Go, a Stoic guide to finding freedom and acceptance. In our fast-paced world, we cling to outcomes, relationships, and possessions as though they were lifelines. Yet more often than not, this attachment becomes the source of our suffering. The Stoics, ancient philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, taught that the secret to tranquility is not in hoarding what we love, but in learning to release our grip. Section 1. The Stoic Foundation. Stoicism often gets misunderstood as a cold, unfeeling doctrine that demands we stifle our emotions and withdraw from the world. In truth, its heart beats with a profoundly practical wisdom. The recognition that an examined life hinges on distinguishing between what we can shape and what lies irrevocably beyond our reach. Picture your mind as a garden. You decide which seeds to plant: patience, courage, generosity, and which weeds to uproot: resentment, fear, envy. This careful cultivation is the core of what the Stoics called the art of living. At the center of the Stoic worldview is the dichotomy of control. Some things are within our power, our judgments, desires, and deliberate actions, while everything else, from external events to other people's choices, falls into the category of indifference. These indifferents are not inherently good or bad. Their moral weight depends entirely on how we respond to them. A thunderstorm that ruins your picnic is an inconvenience. If you rage against the rain, you suffer twice, once because of the inconvenience and again because of your anger about it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, pressed this point home when he reminded himself and his readers, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By anchoring our attention on inner resilience rather than external validation, we free ourselves from the exhausting cycle of wishful thinking and disappointment. Imagine the relief of greeting each morning not with a laundry list of demands: I must be successful, I must be loved, I must be safe, but with a simple resolve: today, I will do my best where I have control and accept what comes otherwise. Epictetus, a former slave turned celebrated teacher, chiseled this insight into his students' daily routines. He taught that even a slave, stripped of possessions and social standing, could achieve equanimity by mastering his mind. According to Epictetus, our reactions to events, what we say to ourselves in the face of adversity, determine our emotional climate far more than the events themselves. This perspective has practical consequences. When we recognize that the promotion, the argument, or the outcome of that pitch meeting are out of our hands, we channel our effort into preparing thoroughly, speaking with clarity, and then letting go of the outcome. There is no pretense of apathy in Stoicism. Rather, there is a disciplined engagement with reality, a wholehearted commitment to virtue, and a quiet confidence that, whatever happens, we can handle it with grace. In this way, the Stoic foundation sets the stage for everything that follows. It teaches us to root our sense of worth in our judgments and actions, a ground that external tides cannot sweep away. It invites us to see difficulties not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities to practice courage, patience, and wisdom. And it reminds us always that the greatest freedom comes when we accept where control ends and surrender the rest to the unfolding of life. Section 2. Recognize the roots of attachment. The first step in letting go is shining a light on the hidden threads that tie our hearts to people, outcomes, and things. We all carry attachments: anxiety over a job interview, nostalgia for a past love, or the frantic need to check our phone for new likes. Each attachment comes wrapped in expectations, stories we tell ourselves about how the world should unfold. When reality diverges from our script, pain takes root. Consider this. Attachments are like anchors, digging into the seabed of our minds and holding us in place, even as the tides of life shift around us. We often don't realize we're anchored until the weight drags us under. By practicing mindfulness, pausing in conversation, noticing the tightness in our chest when scrolling social media, or observing the hair-pulling stress before a big deadline, we cultivate the awareness needed to see these hidden chains. The ancient Stoics recognized that most suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. Epictetus taught premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, as a daily mental rehearsal. Each morning, imagine losing your possessions, relationships, or reputation. Feel the pang of that loss, then bring yourself back to the present, grounded in gratitude. This isn't an exercise in pessimism, but a way to inoculate your mind against shock. When the unexpected happens, you respond from preparation rather than panic. Attachment also thrives on what ifs. What if I fail? What if they leave? What if I never get that promotion? These questions keep us locked in a loop of fear. Stoicism counters this by redirecting our attention to the present moment where life happens. Instead of dwelling on if and when, the Stoics urged, focus on here and now. What can I do in this breath to act with intention and integrity? By anchoring in the present, we loosen the grip of future anxieties. Moreover, attachment is fueled by our tendency to identify with external markers of worth, titles, possessions, even opinions. Seneca warned that by tying our value to fleeting externals, we build our identity on sand. When the tide washes away those externals, the foundation collapses. To counteract this, ask yourself, if I lost this job, this relationship, or this recognition, would my inner character, my kindness, my curiosity, my honesty still stand? By rooting self-worth in virtues we carry within, we become unshakable by external shifts. Finally, recognizing attachments means exposing the desires that hide behind them. We crave comfort, certainty, and approval, yet these are illusions. The only constant is change. When we see that our deepest attachment is to a static sense of security in an ever-changing world, we can begin to loosen our grip on everything else. We trade the illusion of permanence for the freedom of flow. In this way, Section 2 lays bare the roots of our suffering so we can gently untangle each vine. Awareness of attachment becomes the fertile soil in which the seeds of release can grow. Section 3. Cultivate impermanence. Everything in life is transient, like blossoms carried on a spring breeze or footprints washed away by the tide. When we honor impermanence, we learn not only to savor each moment, but to release it with gratitude, knowing it will never come again. This isn't a philosophy of resignation. It's an invitation to live fully in the present, free from the chains of what once was or what might be. The Stoics believe that by contemplating the fleeting nature of things, we cultivate a mindset of deep appreciation and resilience. Seneca urged us to count each separate day as a separate life, reminding us that every sunrise is both a new beginning and a quiet farewell. Joys, sorrows, triumphs, losses, all pass through us like seasons. In practical terms, this means shifting from a mindset of accumulation to one of attentiveness. Instead of chasing tomorrow's promise, we engage wholeheartedly in today's reality. Begin with simple, daily reflections. Each morning, take a moment to sit quietly and acknowledge the impermanence surrounding you, the warmth of your breath, the light through your window, the humming of life awakening outside. Ask yourself, what am I grateful for in this moment? What would I miss if it vanished by nightfall? By pairing gratitude with the anticipation of loss, we sharpen our awareness, and that awareness softens our grip. Throughout the day, practice presence in ordinary acts. While sipping your coffee, notice its aroma, temperature, and flavor as though for the last time. When walking to your car or through your home, tune in to the shifting light, the feel of the floor beneath your feet, the life in motion around you. These micro moments are not trivial. They are anchors. They train the mind to notice, and in noticing, to let go. Journaling can deepen this shift in consciousness. At day's end, write down 3 experiences that felt meaningful. Then ask, if I had known these moments were my last of their kind, would I have lived them differently? This reflection gradually dissolves the longing for permanence and teaches us to cherish without clinging. Cultivating impermanence also reshapes how we meet pain. When fear, regret, or grief grips us, we can whisper the Stoic mantra, "This too shall pass." No storm is forever. In the language of Stoicism, adversity becomes an arena, not for defeat, but for practice. It's in life's most fleeting, fragile moments that we discover the strength of equanimity. A powerful Stoic technique for embracing impermanence is the view from above. Visualize yourself rising above your body, above your city, then your country, until the earth appears as a pale blue dot suspended in space. From this perspective, our dramas shrink. The heartbreak, the delay, the disagreement, they all lose their sting. You return to your life grounded, reminded that everything changes, and that's okay. Ultimately, to cultivate impermanence is to surrender the illusion of control over what must change. It is to flow with life rather than clutch at it. It is to meet each moment not as something to possess, but as something to experience fully, then release. In doing so, we find not loss, but liberation. And we begin, finally, to live. Section 4. Action over anxiety. In Stoicism, action and anxiety occupy opposite ends of the human experience. Anxiety arises when we invest energy in outcomes beyond our control, worrying about the weather, second-guessing how our words are received, or fretting over how long a feeling will last. Action, on the other hand, springs from focusing on what we can directly influence: our choices, our character, and our responses. When we let go of the illusion that we can dictate external events, we unlock a reservoir of calm determination and clear-headed effort. Begin by mapping your concerns against the Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control. Take a moment right now to what's causing you stress: an impending deadline, a tense conversation, or a personal goal you haven't yet reached. Then, draw an imaginary line down the page. On one side, write what you can control: the time you spend preparing, the tone you use in an email, the steps you take toward learning a skill. On the other side, note what lies outside your power: the reaction of a coworker, market forces, or past mistakes. This simple exercise jolts you out of rumination and into purposeful awareness. Next, commit to one small, deliberate step you can take immediately. If you're anxious about a report, schedule time to outline it. If you fear rejection, draft a message or rehearse what you want to say. Channeling nervous energy into purposeful motion transforms the mind from a stage for worst-case scenarios into a workshop of tangible progress. The Stoics didn't preach blind optimism or frantic busyness. They practiced right action, decisions rooted in reason and guided by virtue. As Epictetus put it, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In other words, decide what kind of person you want to be: honest, courageous, disciplined, and let that vision shape your next move. When anxiety strikes, pause and ask, what would a wise person do now? Then do that. Letting go of anxious thoughts also requires self-kindness. When you catch your mind spiraling, replaying potential failures or imagined conversations, pause. Place a hand over your heart, take a deep breath, and name the thought. There's the worry about tomorrow's meeting. Then gently redirect. What one step can I take right now to feel more prepared? This simple ritual breaks the loop of anxious thought and restores a sense of agency. Over time, this practice reshapes your internal landscape. Moments that once triggered panic now become cues for clarity. Mental space expands. There's more room for creativity, presence, and connection. The Stoics knew that peace doesn't come from perfect circumstances. It comes from consistent alignment with your values. Finally, anchor action over anxiety in a daily habit. At the end of each day, reflect on a moment when anxiety showed up and ask yourself, what did I do in response? Did I take action or just worry? Celebrate the smallest acts of courage: a decision made, a task started, a conversation initiated. These small victories compound. And over time, anxiety stops being a wall. It becomes a doorway. In the Stoic view, a meaningful life isn't defined by control over fate. It's defined by the effort we bring to the parts of life that are truly ours. When in doubt, act. When anxious, move. And in every small step, return to your center. Section 5. Compassionate detachment. One of the deepest forms of attachment lies in our relationships with friends, family, partners, even children. We often tie our happiness to their presence, our self-worth to their approval, and our emotional stability to their actions. But Stoic wisdom teaches that true love does not require control, and real connection does not demand emotional fusion. Compassionate detachment is the art of caring deeply while accepting that others are sovereign over their own lives. To understand this, start by distinguishing involvement from identification. Involvement is showing up with presence, listening attentively, offering support, celebrating joys, and sitting with someone in their pain. Identification, however, is when we entangle our sense of identity in another's experience, feeling personal failure when they falter or believing we must fix their suffering to find peace ourselves. The Stoic approach urges us to notice when our emotional state is overly tethered to someone else's choices or moods. Do you feel anxious if a loved one is upset, even when it has nothing to do with you? Do you carry guilt for not being able to change their situation? These are signs of unhealthy identification. Compassionate detachment invites empathy without dependency. Try this mental exercise. Imagine you're watching a film about someone you love. You root for them, feel their pain, hope for their healing, but you understand the story belongs to them. You are a witness, not the author. Bring that same perspective into your real relationships. Love fully, but release the illusion of control. This mindset doesn't diminish connection, it deepens it, because you show up with authenticity rather than obligation. At the same time, set boundaries rooted in self-respect. It's not unkind to say, I care about you, but I can't take this on. On the contrary, such honesty is the foundation of trust and endurance in any relationship. When you lovingly hold the line between what is yours and what is theirs, you invite others to grow while preserving your own emotional clarity. Seneca put it plainly, the wise man is self-sufficient, not because he desires to be alone, but because he knows how to be whole with or without others. The Stoics also recognize that all relationships are impermanent. People change, circumstances shift, sometimes paths that once ran parallel diverge. Embrace friendship with flexibility, Seneca advised, knowing that rigidity creates suffering. When a relationship fades or takes a different shape, grieve the loss, honor the bond, but let go with grace. To cling is to resist life's nature. To release is to live in harmony with it. Here's a powerful daily practice. Each morning, name one person you love and silently say, may they be well, may they be free from suffering. Then add, and may I accept whatever path life takes us on. This soft, simple ritual trains the heart to remain open and generous without clutching. In truth, compassionate detachment is a profound act of love, one that gives others the freedom to be themselves and grants us the peace to walk beside them without losing ourselves. We become steadier companions, wiser supporters, and gentler with ourselves. When we let go of trying to shape another's path, we gain the strength to walk our own with clarity, presence, and unwavering compassion. Section 6. A daily ritual for release. To weave Stoic letting go into the fabric of daily life, a simple ritual practiced at morning, midday, and evening can anchor awareness and nurture the art of release. Each step builds on the previous, guiding you through intention, presence, and reflection. Morning resolve. Before your feet touch the floor, pause in the quiet half-light of dawn and center yourself with breath. In this stillness, name aloud or jot down one thing you deeply value, perhaps patience with loved ones, wholehearted effort in your work, or kindness towards yourself. Then, identify one thing you intend to release, maybe the urge to control outcomes, the lingering worry from yesterday, or the desperate need for approval. By verbally setting these intentions, you plant seeds of focus that will guide your actions throughout the day. This practice transforms a routine wake-up into a mindful moment. It reminds you that each day presents both an opportunity to embody your highest values and a challenge to surrender what you cannot control. Over time, this morning ritual primes your mind to notice when you drift into old patterns of attachment and gently guides you back to purpose. Midday check-in. As the sun reaches its peak and busyness swirls around you, take a deliberate pause. Close your eyes for a breath or two, then scan your body and mind for tension. Where do you feel a tightness in your chest? What thoughts replay in your head? Fears of not measuring up, irritation at a colleague, or the pull of social media? Each moment of awareness untangles the knots of unconscious clinging. Next, ask yourself, is this within my power? If the answer is no, the actions or reactions of others, the weather, past regrets, exhale and visualize those worries drifting away like smoke. If the answer is yes, your tone, your choice to step away from the screen, your decision to respond with patience, choose one concrete action. Send that email you've been delaying, take a short walk, or practice a brief mantra. I act where I can. I release what I cannot. This midday ritual resets your mindset, infusing the remainder of your day with clarity and resilience. Evening reflection. When twilight falls, carve out a moment of quiet before sleep. Reflect on 3 specific instances when you succeeded in letting go or when you struggled to do so. Describe what happened, how you felt, and what you learned. Did you notice a moment of impatience? How might you release that sooner tomorrow? Did you act with courage when anxiety knocked at the door? Acknowledge and celebrate your effort. Follow this by expressing gratitude for 2 blessings that arrived unbidden: a kind message, a moment of unexpected beauty, or a lesson learned. Gratitude and release work hand in hand. By valuing what arose naturally, you loosen the habit of grasping. Finally, visualize the day's thoughts, events, and outcomes dissolving into mist. Let your journal page or your final exhale carry away any remaining attachments. Integrating the ritual. Consistency transforms rituals into habits. Consider setting reminders on your phone, pairing each step with daily triggers, your morning coffee, lunchtime stretch, or bedtime dimming lights. Over weeks, these practices will shift from activities you remember to automatic habits that shape your mental landscape. You'll find that each pause, each question, and each reflection becomes a gentle reminder. Presence over worry, action over fear, and above all, release over attachment. Section 7. Real-life example. Meet Jason, a mid-level marketing manager at a rapidly growing tech firm. When the company announced a sudden restructuring, he found himself at a crossroads: either cling to the title and salary he'd built his identity around, or let go and embrace uncertainty. For days, Jason replayed worst-case scenarios: financial instability, damaged reputation, the sting of rejection. Anxiety kept him awake, and his productivity plummeted. Then he recalled Stoic practices he'd skimmed over in a workshop months earlier. First, he used the dichotomy of control to sort his thoughts. He listed what he could influence: updating his resume, reaching out to former colleagues, enhancing his LinkedIn profile, and what he could not: the timing of layoffs, the decisions of the board, or the market's reaction to his next move. With this clarity, he traded rumination for action. Next, Jason applied premeditatio malorum. One evening, he imagined losing not just his job, but his home, his reputation, and his network, experiencing the emotional sting in his mind. Then he reset by imagining gratitude for the skills, relationships, and experiences he still possessed. This exercise tempered his fear with perspective and resilience. He slept better that night, no longer haunted by nebulous what-ifs. To cultivate impermanence, Jason introduced a simple ritual. Each morning, as he brewed coffee, he silently named one thing he might lose that day, perhaps a client meeting or a project, and one thing he could nurture, like his learning plan or his health. Throughout the day, whenever stress surfaced, he repeated, "This too shall pass." By reframing challenges as temporary, he found steady focus. When anxiety crept back, he invoked Epictetus' advice: identify the most courageous action available. Sometimes that meant sending a networking email he feared might go unanswered. Other times, it meant taking a short walk to clear his mind before drafting a proposal. Each deliberate step reinforced his belief in agency over despair. On the relational front, he reached out to colleagues for support without demanding sympathy. He listened to their stories and offered genuine encouragement, all while practicing compassionate detachment, caring for them without leaning on them for his sense of worth. Within a month, Jason secured 2 interviews. He treated each one as a test of his readiness rather than a verdict on his value. When he ultimately accepted a position at a company whose mission resonated with his principles, he realized that letting go of his former role had opened the door to a more aligned opportunity. Jason's transformation underscores the Stoic truth: we are not defined by external circumstances, but by our responses. By systematically untangling attachment through clarity of control, mental rehearsal, acceptance of impermanence, courageous action, and compassionate connection, he navigated uncertainty with integrity and resilience. Letting go isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing art. Like the ocean's tide, attachments will arise and recede. By practicing Stoic principles, awareness, impermanence, purposeful action, and compassionate detachment, we transform our relationship with life itself. As you step back into your day, remember, you possess the power to choose what you hold and what you release. Embrace this freedom. feel the weight lift, and in the space that opens, discover the deeper joy of simply being. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this guide, like, share, and subscribe for more Stoic insights.